Fairview, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a good old southern sweet potato pie. I'm actually doing a chef demo today with a lot of my residents that are very interested, and they've been asking me for this recipe ever since our Thanksgiving potluck, so I decided to go ahead and show them how I make mine. So I already prepped and peeled my sweet potatoes. The first step of the recipe is to get small sweet potatoes. You want about 8 small sweet potatoes that you will boil with a tablespoon of butter in the water. I know it sounds crazy, but I do boil them after I wash them instead of peeling them before I boil them, because once you boil it with the butter, you drain it with some water and a little bit of ice to cool it down for about 10 minutes, and then the peel will just slide right on off. So it takes a lot less time than peeling the potatoes beforehand and putting it in the pot to boil. So now what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, I'm supposed to use a potato masher, but today I have a spoon. So I'm just gonna go ahead and break these up a little bit before I mix them. I don't put any butter in them straight away. I actually melt 1 stick of butter to put in them later after I've already started mixing things. But the first thing you're gonna do is kind of try to mix them with a hand mixer and get them a little smoother before you do start adding some ingredients. Of course, you have to start on low because they're gonna be a little tough and messy. Alright, I've got my hand mixer here. I'm just gonna mix them on low and try to get them a little bit smoother so we can move on to adding a few ingredients. Now I'm going to take that same spoon and scrape the sides of my bowl to make sure that I'm getting everything mixed in there. Probably make a mess throughout this, just so you know. Now it's a little bit smoother now and easier to stir. But the key to a very good sweet potato pie is mixing, mixing, mixing. If you take a look at my recipe attached to this video, you see the word mix quite a bit. That is a key to a good sweet potato pie. Nobody likes a lumpy sweet potato pie or mashed sweet potatoes. So now we've got the sides scraped, we're gonna go ahead and mix again. Notice a little bit in between that I did turn up my speed of the mixer a little bit, just so that I can get a little bit more of a better mix and break it down a little bit more before we start adding ingredients. But the first thing that you're gonna add is your spices. So your cinnamon, your ginger, your ground nutmeg, and your pumpkin pie spice. I normally do about 1 teaspoon of the ground nutmeg. You don't want too many spices, but you also don't want it too sweet. So I do like to put some spice in there because we are making 3 pies, and it'll look like a very different mixture once we're done. So don't think that we're putting too much spices, because I know we're not. Alright, now we are going to do about half a teaspoon of my secret ingredient, pumpkin pie spice. Then we're gonna add just a little bit of ground ginger, about 1/4 teaspoon. If I can get the top off, because I never can. I got it. And last but not least, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. know it looks like a big chunk of brown powder right now, but it's gonna look very decadent here in a minute. Okay, we're gonna mix again. On low for start. Now we're gonna scrape the sides of the bowl again. So now we can go ahead and add our sugars. So we'll add half a cup of white sugar or granulated sugar. We will add 1 cup of brown sugar. And we will mix. I told you the key to this recipe is mixing. Okay. And like we always do, we'll grab that spoon again and go ahead and mix. Now it should start getting more on the creamy, looking and smelling amazing. Gotta fight the temptation because we haven't put in any of our wet ingredients. Okay. So now we will go ahead and add our 1 stick of butter. I did pre-melt this in the microwave. And we will add our vanilla. Now, vanilla is kind of per your taste preference. I love a lot of vanilla just because it balances out the spices that you add in there. The recipe only calls for about 1 tablespoon of vanilla, but we'll do 1. I always overpour this. We'll do 1. And then we will taste it later on and see if we need to add some more. And now, guess what? We mix. I'm like throwing sweet potatoes everywhere. Now I'm gonna grab that spoon. And I don't know if you guys notice every time I turn my mixer on, but whenever I throw a new ingredient in there and it looks like it'll be pretty hard to mix, I always start on low just to kind of get it blended and then turn up my mixer to a higher speed so that we can still also focus on those lumps while blending the ingredients. Now we can go ahead and add the sweetened condensed milk. It's a 14-ounce can. This will make it a lot smoother as well. Pull it out too soon there. All right, and the last ingredient you'll add is 2 eggs. Not the best egg cracker. I'm gonna go ahead and scrape the sides. Now it has that pretty orange sweet potato pie color. It is nice and creamy. I'm just gonna mix it a few more times just to try to get as many of those lumps out as possible before we pour it into our pie crust. And I did preheat the oven to 350. We're gonna bake these for about an hour before we check them, but the bake time is for an hour and 15 minutes. I gotta stop pulling it out early. All right, so the recipe says you can use 2 deep dish pie crusts or you can use 3 regular graham cracker crusts. I like the graham cracker crust because it gives it a crunch at the end after the pie bakes out. So I'm using graham cracker crust and I have 3 of them right here. Move this out of the way here. I'm just gonna use that spoon to help me portion out how much of the batter I'm gonna put into each pie crust. You don't wanna fill it up all the way. You wanna put it right to probably about 3/4 full. So we'll go ahead and start pouring. I do smooth them out with the spoon just so that it has like a smoother finish at the end as it bakes out. I might have filled these up a little bit too much, but that's okay. Got a little bit of batter left over, so I am just gonna go ahead and pour the rest of it in this pie crust here. Even though this one will be a little shallower than the others. Oops. Which, you know, I guess is okay because now I can show you the difference between the ones that are filled to the top and the ones that are not. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these in the oven and set my timer. I will be back once I'm ready to pull them out and show you guys what the finished product looks like. Thank you guys. All right, guys, so we have finished sweet potato pies. It should be rounded at the top, and once it cools, I will take a picture and attach that to the video. But it's gonna kind of, you know, deflate and be amazingly delicious right after. So thank you guys for watching.